I guess this is the man that became the vampire, the lord of the mansion, Nick said as he looked at the paintings.
Do we have time for this?
Adele asked, pointing at the window.
We have an hour at most before the sun sets. We should get moving.
Yeah, you're right, Nick agreed, shutting the door to the study and going to the fourth room. This one was odd. It was clearly a woman's room, but it had a king-sized bed and a nightstand that looked like it was strictly covered with men's things.
It's the wife's room,
Adele said.
I remember my mom told me about this, that rich married couples used to sleep in separate rooms and even had separate beds. It was a sign of wealth, and apparently it used to keep marriages alive longer. Or at least that's what the magazines say.
Magazines? Nick raised an eyebrow as he continued to look through the room.
Yeah, how else are you going to find out the 10 things that make your partner happy?
Adele asked, as if Nick was an idiot for such a silly question. I think maybe just ask your partner, you know? Nick shook his head as he shut the door to what he and Adele were labeling the wife's bedroom. Communication, Adele. That's the only way you're going to avoid living a painful rom-com life filled with assumptions that all backfire. When Nick looked over to hear Adele's reply, he instead saw the world once more through the woman of his vision's eyes. She was marching through the hallway with her remaining soldiers. We've prepared the pine stakes to shove through its heart, the captain said. But are you sure that will defeat the beast beyond that door?
Pine stakes are the only way to fell the monster that lives in the saint's home. Trust me,
the woman assured him as she walked up to the door.
But be careful. While other monsters use their claws and teeth, this one will use his words and wit. Magic is infused in everything he does.
With that, the warning faded.
What happened? Another vision?
Adele asked, her face inches from him as she studied him.
Is it going to lead us to more loot?
No, it's just a guide. And a warning. The vision said you're right about the pine, but that we need to be careful about the monster's words, that they're infused with magic and they may get to us, Nick informed her.
Speaking of careful, we could go grab more pine and pile it by the door for your little trick. I think the wife's bed was made of it.
Adele suggested. That's not a bad idea, Nick agreed, deciding to do just that. He was a little concerned about the boss can affect us with his magic words part, but he knew Adele was right in this situation. The only thing they could do was just prepare more. After unloading their earlier collection and then stacking a person-sized harvest of wood, Nick finally felt brave enough to open the door and reveal the monster inside. The vampire stood just a few feet away from the door as Nick opened it, his tall and emaciated frame towering over Nick. His eyes shimmered like rubies sunk into the shadows of his face, and his long white hair was slicked back from a pale face with sharp features. He had a thin mustache that curved down around thin lips, which framed two fangs that protruded slightly. The vampire's hands were delicate and slender with